That morning I realized something was wrong. Not because anyone yelled, not because doors slammed or voices rose. It was wrong because of what never came. The small words that used to exist. The ones I didn't even notice until they disappeared. They used to call me sweetheart. Used to say I was dependable, mature, the one who held things together. Somewhere along the way, without explanation or warning, that version of me vanished. Overnight, I wasn't the reliable daughter anymore. I was suddenly an inconvenience, a complication, a problem that needed fixing. I found out the truth through my phone. No argument. No confrontation. Just a notification waiting quietly on my screen like it had every right to be there. A message that shattered every illusion I had about loyalty, family, and blood ties. Notice of complaint filing of civil action. It wasn't a prank. It wasn't sent by mistake. It wasn't an emotional threat typed in anger. It was official, cold. A PDF attachment from a downtown law office. Crisp formatting. Legal language. Professional tone. My name was printed on it. So were my parents. And the words underneath hit harder than anything they'd ever said to my face. Plaintiffs, Robert and Marcia Hayes. Defendant, Eloy Hayes. Me, their daughter, the one they raised. The one they claimed to love? My name is Eloy. I'm 24 years old, and this is how I learned that my own parents were trying to take the first home I ever earned away from me. Their reasoning was simple, at least to them. They believed it should belong to my older sister Avery, the real daughter, the favored one, the one who always came first. And if that sounds cruel written out loud, it only gets worse when you hear what they were willing to say under oath to justify it. I never imagined I'd become the villain in my own family story just for standing on my own 2 feet. If someone had told me years ago that I'd be sitting across from my parents in a courtroom, defending myself like a stranger, I would have laughed. But courtrooms don't respond to disbelief. They don't care about history or emotion. They care about paperwork, signatures, timelines, receipts, truth spoken with a hand raised. This didn't begin with legal documents. It started long before that, with a house, my house. The first thing in my life that belonged solely to me. To understand why the lawsuit happened, you have to understand everything that led up to it. Because there's always a reason. Even when that reason is selfish, even when it's wrapped in jealousy so dense it suffocates. The reason was Avery, my sister, the golden child, the princess. The one who never heard the word no without it. Being followed by an apology. My parents believed denying her anything would somehow break the universe. I grew up in her shadow so long that I sometimes convinced myself I liked it there. It was quiet. Expectations were low. No one demanded greatness from me. They just expected me to keep things running smoothly. Eloy, help Avery with her homework. Eloy, take your sister to practice. Eloy, don't argue. Let her have it. The moment I truly understood we weren't equal came the day I got accepted into college. I ran downstairs gripping the letter, hands shaking, heart racing. I thought they'd cheer, hug me, celebrate. Instead, I walked into the kitchen and found Avery crying over a boy who hadn't texted her back. My mom never even glanced at the envelope. She just sighed and said, Eloy, can you take care of dinner? I need to talk to your sister. My excitement lasted exactly 30 seconds. Then I learned how to disappear. Being invisible, though, teaches you something powerful. You stop waiting for applause. You stop asking for permission. You realize determination matters more than recognition. College became my escape. I worked 2 jobs, studied late, lived small, saved everything. I never asked my parents for $1. I wanted proof. Proof that I wasn't just an extension of Avery's life. After graduation, I kept going, saving, grinding, pushing like time itself was chasing me. And 4 months ago, I did the impossible. I bought a house. It wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. 2 bedrooms. 1 bathroom. A tiny backyard with grass I would probably kill by winter. But it was mine. My name on the deed. My money in the down payment. My signature on every page. Every sacrifice I ever made lived inside those walls. I didn't tell my parents right away. I wanted to surprise them. I thought stupidly that maybe this time they'd look at me the way they looked at Avery, proud. So I invited them over. I remember the smell of fresh paint, sunlight pouring through the living room windows, the echo of empty rooms waiting to be filled. I practiced the words in my head. Surprise. I bought my first house. They walked in and didn't smile. They didn't ask questions, didn't congratulate me. My father's first response was, "Why didn't you tell us?" Then, immediately, "Avery needs a place." This could have been in her name. My mother followed with, "You know what your sister's going through?" Stability would mean everything to her. I waited for the punchline, for laughter, for pride. None came. Avery arrived later, uninvited, strolling in like she belonged. There, she glanced around and said, "I'll take the bigger bedroom." As if it was settled, as if I was temporary. That's when I learned something about anger. Sometimes it doesn't shout. Sometimes it arrives calm and steady. I said clearly, "No one is taking this house. Not you, not Avery, not anyone." The room froze. Avery laughed, that sharp, spoiled laugh. "Don't be dramatic. Mom and Dad already agreed. We'll transfer the title." Transfer the title. Like my life was something she could inherit. I told them to leave. When they didn't, I stood by the door and said it louder. They stared at me like I'd become someone else. Maybe I had. 3 days later, the PDF arrived. My parents were suing me for a house I bought myself, claiming verbal agreements, family rights, intentions that never existed. Lies stacked neatly like paperwork. They hired a lawyer. Avery started packing. And the daughter who never asked for anything prepared for court. That first night I didn't sleep. I paced. I panicked. I almost gave in. But at 4 in the morning, sitting on my living room floor, I realized surrender would destroy me. So I opened my laptop and started typing defense statement. Civil action? Hayes versus Hayes. What they said next would change everything. But first, you need to understand what they tried to take. Because when the judge finally spoke, and their lawyer stood up and delivered the lie that set everything in motion, it sounded like this: family asset, implied trust, verbal agreement. They said those words like they meant something, like they weren't twisting the truth into a weapon. Rachel didn't even look at me. She just started scribbling notes. Shouldn't blink. Then my mother took Theston. I thought maybe somewhere in her voice there would be hesitation, remorse, something human. But when Shess were to tell the truth, she smiled. She said, "We always assumed the house was for Avery. She's the one who needs stability. Aloy has always been dependent. She doesn't mind. Doesn't mind like I didn't care about the biggest thing Eva worked for." Rachel leaned in and whispered, "Breathe. Let them finish. Well, dismantle it piece by piece." My father testified next.
He said Ipramize the house to Avery.
Avery nodded along, pretending to look sad, pretending to look wounded. "I just don't know why she's being so selfish," Abutit. She told the judge, voice soft, Aishani like she practiced crying in a mirror. "Selfish me. The same girl who paid her own tuition, who paid her rent, who packed lunches while Avery got a credit card for emergencies, and somehow spent thousands on spa days, handbags, and accidental online shopping." But then came the moment that changed everything. Rachel stood. "Your Honor, we have evidence," she said, "and a witness statement." The judge looked up. "A witness?" Rachel nodded. She couldn't be here in person, but she wrote everything down, and it's signed and not Rized. My mother's lawyer scoffed. "Who is this supposed witness?" Rachel didn't answer him. She faced the judge, a former friend of Avery. Avery froze for the first time since this whole thing started. She wasn't smiling. Rachel passed a sealed envelope to the bailiff. The judge opened it. He read in silence. Then he read again. His eyebrows moved not up, not down, but together like something nasty just crawled across the page. "Miss Hayes," he said finally. "Would you like to explain this?" Avery's voice cracked. "What letter?" The judge handed a copy to her attorney, then another copy to Rachel, then one to me. I didn't blink. My hands shook as I unfolded it. It was a statement written by someone named Kendall Rivers. I didn't know the name at first, but I saw the dates. I saw the screenshots attached. I saw Avery's messages. Messages like, I'll just guilt her into giving it to me. It's not fair she gets to buy a house before me. Mom and Dad say they'll force her legally if they have to. Force me legally. They were planning this before I even saw the house. The judge kept reading out loud. Then he reached the line that made Avra scream. Worst case, she gives up and moves out. Mom said, we'll take her to court if she resists. LOL, she's too weak to fight it. Avery shot to her feet so fast her chair slammed backward. You're joking, she yelled. Voice cracking, face red. Panic pouring through every syllable. The judge banged his gavel once. Sit down, Miss Hayes. She turned toward my mother. Did you really say that? My mother's face went white. She didn't speak. My father's jaw locked tight. Everyone stared. Even the silver-haired lawyer looked like he just swallowed a nail. Rachel didn't smile, not even a little, but I saw something. Her posture, victory in progress. The judge cleared his throat. We will recess for 30 minutes. I need to review the rest of this. Court officers let us out. Avery was crying now, ugly crying. My mother pulled her aside, whispering gently. My father stared at the floor like it had answers. Rachel put a hand in my shoulder. Don't say a word, she warned. We still have more to show. It looked at the letter again, at the messy handwriting, the angry paragraphs, the attached screenshots. Whoever Kendall was, she ended every page with the same sentence. I'm tired of watching her hurt you. I folded the letter slowly. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel bitter. I felt something new. Not anger, not relief, something cold and steady. This ends with me because court wasn't finished. Because Rachel had one more bomb to drop, because someone else had receipts. Receipts that would prove the house wasn't the only thing they tried to take. What my parents hid, the secret bank transfers, the family fund, the stolen money would come out. Next, and after lunch recess, when the judge called us back in, Rachel stood again and said 4 words that made the room go silent. Your Honor, we have bank records. Rachel said those 4 words like they were nothing. Like they weren't about to shatter everything my parents thought they could control. Your Honor, we have bank records. You could have felt the air leave the room. Courtrooms are usually quiet anyway. But the silence was different, heavy, expectant. My mother's lawyer straightened up like somebody just slapped a file out of his hands. The judge lifted one eyebrow, interested for the first time all morning. Proceed, Hesed. Rachel tapped her folder twice like a drummer warming up before dropping. The beat that ends a show. Your Honor, she began. My client purchased her home with her own money, documented income, and legitimate savings. However, the plaintiffs have claimed this home was a family asset. So if that's true, where exactly is this family fund they keep referencing? Her voice didn't shake. Mine would have. The silver-haired lawyer tried to object. Relevance, he snapped like that would fix everything. Relevance, Rachel repeated calmly, is proving motive of financial misconduct, and whether verbal agreements were fabricated to disguise appropriation of the defendant's earnings. Appropriation of my earnings. I looked at her, realizing what she meant. This wasn't just about taking the house. They took money too. Rachel slid a thick printed report to the bow IFF. The judge flipped through page after page of bank statements. My parents checking their savings and one I had never seen before. Joint account. Robert Hayes and Avery Hayes, rows and rows off transactions. Big ones, regular ones, 3 months apart, 6 months apart, always in round numbers. Rachel stepped closer, voice steady and lethal. Your Honor, these are withdrawals from my client's college savings account. The account was set up when she was 10 years old, funded partially by her father's workplace education benefits and partially by Aloy's own earnings from age 18 through 22. Here you will see 12 transfers totaling over $72,000 moved into an account shared by Avery and her father. I heard it, a sound I never expected. My mother swallowed hard. Avery whispered, no, no, no. The judge squinted at one page, tapping it with his pen. Mr. Hayes, did you use money belonging to your younger daughter without her consent? My father's voice was flat and offensive. It was family money. We always help Avery when she needs it. Eat all. Evens out, family money? The judge repeated with no emotion. And did you inform the defendant that you mobbed these funds? My father didn't answer. My mother tried to speak for him. Bad move. Eloy never needed much. She said she's responsible. Avery's life is harder. I didn't mean to speak. I really didn't, but the words came out before I could stop them because you made it harder. Rachel touched my wrist. A quiet reminder. Don't engage. Let evidence speak. The judge sighed. A long, slow exhale like someone trying to decide whether their humanity is worth the paperwork. Counselor.
He said to Rachel, "What exactly are you asking this court to do?" Rachel didn't hesitate.
Dismiss the plaintiff's case immediately. Declare the property legally and solely owned by Eloy Hayes and compel repayment of misappropriated funds used for the benefit of Avery Hayes. Avery's head snapped up. Repayment? I don't have. I can't. That's impossible. Rachel wasn't done. One more item, Your Honor. She reached into her briefcase, and I swear the room stopped breathing. Because from that bag she pulled an envelope. A simple ordinary envelope, but one that had the power to take everything migrants built, everything they thought they could manipulate, and flip it upside down. The defendant, Rachel said, left something for her family before this trial began, anticipating a dispute. I'd like to present it to the court now. It froze my letter. The one I wrote at 4 a.m. on the living room floor when I realized they would rather break me than treat me equal. The judge nodded. Rachel opened it, not dramatically, not like a movie. Calm, clinical professional. She read to my parents and me sister. I will no longer give you the silence you expect from me. I will no longer carry burdens you pretend don't exist. This home is mine. My life is mine. Whatever promise you think I made, it exists only in your expectations, not in reality. I am done being the reliable back for your mistakes. This is not a request. It is a declaration. She kept treading, and I could hear my own voice in every sentence. You say Avery deserves stability. I say I deserve respect. You say family comes first. But you never treated me like family, only like the solution to problems I didn't create. It wasn't a hate letter. It wasn't cruel. It was truth. Rachel's voice was steady, low, without emotion. I will not fight to belong in a place where I was always second choice. If you choose to fight main court, the truth will follow. I won't run. Not anymore. When she finished, there was no soundtrack, no gasp, just silence sharp enough to cut through bone. My mother was crying silently now, the kind of crying that comes when control evaporates and reality hits like a freight train. Avery wasn't crying anymore. She was angry, bright red, shaking, looking from mom to dad like Simeon betrayed her. Not like she betrayed me. The judge closed the file when he spoke. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud. It was final, case dismissed. The title is legally the defendant's property. Furthermore, the court finds sufficient evidence of misappropriation of funds. I strongly advise the plaintiffs to settle a payment in mediation before this matter escalates to criminal litigation. My father choked out criminal. Rachel stepped in. Yes, she said, criminal fraud involving an educational trust is a felony in this state. It was over.